Premiere Academy Lugbe has been more interested in preserving the business interest of the school as against helping to fish out the perpetrator of this heinous crime against an innocent child. Now, there's been a lot of fallacies put out there by Premiere Academy. Now, if you are a prime suspect, it is a worry that a prime suspect in the circumstances leading to the death of a child, and clearly medical report says unequivocally that Karen-Happuch was raped, condom left inside of her by the rapist, the condom infected her and caused her sepsis, which led to her eventual death after suffering trauma. That is the position of the medical report. Now, autopsy has been done, and we worry that it will even take 6 weeks or more for results of autopsy to be done. But as you know, as leader of the coalition, our coalition of gender-based violence responders had been doing our discrete investigation, and we have had interactions with the board of directors and management of Premiere Academy. We've confronted them with a few questions in the process of this investigation, and the questions includes, fundamentally, we asked the management and board, have you ever had any case of sexual abuse in this school? And the board and management answered us emphatically, never, as their response. They video recorded this conversation at Premiere Academy Lugbe. We also have the audio of this conversation. We also gave them a chance to maybe imagining that they didn't understand our question, and we asked again, Premiere Academy Lugbe, have you ever had a case where you had to suspend a staff, sack or suspend a staff for allegations of sexually molesting a student? They responded again, never. Whereas at the point where the coalition was interviewing them, we already had a February 2021 sack letter, indefinite suspension letter, issued to the physical and health education teacher, where it was unequivocally written that he is sent on indefinite suspension as a result of sexual molestation of a student. Immediately that happens, whether in the court of natural justice or in the court of law, once a witness has proven to have lied, it becomes labeled as a witness, as someone who is not a witness of truth. That means cover up. But again, what is the worry? The fact that a teacher was found culpable complicit in allegation of sexual molestation of a student. Premiere Academy chose to just send the teacher on indefinite suspension, and it ended that way. Now that for us is irresponsible and calls to question the penchant of Premiere Academy Lugbe to cover up incidents of sexual abuse and molestation. Because the proper course of action ordinarily will be that Premiere Academy Lugbe will hand over that pedophile or suspected pedophile to the police station. And the closest police station at that point was Lugbe Police Station. They never did any of such things. Instead, they continued to lie. And you can see that the number of pedophiles in our society is rising by the day. And Premiere Academy released the PHE teacher, who is definitely a suspected pedophile, by the letter of sack or indefinite suspension. That raised question. So we looked at all of this, and we also found that even the police, who should ordinarily caution a prime suspect, which is the school, Premiere Academy Lugbe, from doing the publicity stunts, while the family was silent and grieving, they were doing all sorts of publicity stunts. 5 press conferences, countless press statements, and in doing that, there were forced errors. For instance, the first conversation Premiere Academy Lugbe had was that The girl was taken in good shape. Her diabetic condition was well managed, which is not in dispute. But they now said that the child died as a result of when she got home, they mismanaged her by giving her wrong food and not taking insulin. That was the first line of defense by Premiere Academy Lugbe. The mother of this child will talk with you. She herself is diabetic. The school is on record to even say that Karen-Happuch, until her death, was very disciplined with her insulin and with her food. She would not eat anything that will affect her. Now, this is a child that was groomed before being handed over to Premiere Academy, taught how to even take the insulin jabs herself. All of a sudden, they changed the story. They changed the story when they found that they could no longer hide, because preliminary findings from the autopsy that was conducted also corroborated the medical report on how Karen died. So there's no hiding place. They are now changing it, shifting the goalpost and saying, yes, she may have been raped, but it did not happen in their school. Karen was in Premiere Academy Lugbe for at least over 6 weeks before she got so sick, and eventually we discovered she had been raped and she died. This is corroborated very clearly by the medical report. So we are going to have a mother who has not spoken before now. She's grieving. I'm going to urge you all, just let her speak. We'll take a question or two. Then we would excuse her to go back and mourn. She's forced to do this because there's a lot of falsehood that has gone on, and in seeking justice for Karen, all we seek is that the truth be uncovered.